Greetings, my fellow crafters and creatives. Welcome to another episode of Bobolog. My name is Bobby Olan and this is my video log where I like to share all of my knitting and other crafting endeavors with you. My pronouns are she and hers, and I am filming this on the lands of the Bunwurrung people, who I would like to acknowledge as the traditional owners of the land, and I would like to acknowledge their elders past, present and future. Anything that I mention in this podcast, patterns, yarns, what have you, I will link in the YouTube description down below as per usual. I am not feeling great this morning. My partner has been bedridden for most of the last week. He thought it was the flu initially, and then it turned out to be gastro. Somehow I have not gotten it. I did have a bit of an upset stomach, but I did not get majorly sick like he did, thankfully. But now that he is back on his feet and mostly feeling better, I am not feeling great, but thankfully very different symptoms. I feel like I'm coming down with a cold, my throat. I had a sore throat the other day, but my nose has been stuffy and runny the last couple of days, so hopefully I won't be sniffling at you and I'll be able to edit out any sniffles. But also I'm very happy to say, or grateful to say, that I have tried a new style of video for this one, which means that I'm not actually going to be sitting here for long and I can get back to a little cozy day of crafting once I am done filming this snippet. It is the weekend of the Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show here in Melbourne, and I haven't gone, obviously, because of the unwellness in the house, and so I'm distracted. There's a rainbow. Is it a rainbow lorikeet? Oh, it's just flown off. I was thinking of picking up the camera and showing you guys, but I could see a rainbow lorikeet on a tree on the window outside. We get so many great birds here where we are. Some not great ones too, but mostly some really great birds. Anyway, what was I saying? It is the weekend of the Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show, and I was already planning not to go. So me being sick and my partner being sick hasn't impacted that. I did skip going to knit night and crafternoon the past week while he was sick, because I didn't want to carry any germs, especially, I wouldn't want to anyway, but especially because Julie of my local yarn store, Little Woolly Makes, she has a stall at Bendigo this week and I didn't want to risk getting her sick. I have intentionally missed Bendigo the last couple of years because I have known for a while that I want to go to Shetland Wool Week for my next milestone birthday, which is next year. So that is likely to be a third year of me not going to Bendigo. And kind of unfortunately, that hasn't stopped me from spending way too much money on yarn. Anyway, I'm not getting into that. I'm here to talk to you about my projects. I have been working on 2 knitting projects since I saw you last, and I've been doing a little bit of multi-crafty stuff as well, mainly crochet. I have touched the spinning. I've been mainly focused on fibre prep and not actual spinning while the Tour de Fleece is on, but I have not met my goals of doing something spinning related each day. I have sort of let that go, and I've decided to just follow my enthusiasm, and my enthusiasm has really been with crochet the last couple of weeks, but I won't get into that now. I will jump into handy dandy whips. So my works in progress, I wanted to say works in projects, but that's not right. My works in progress for the last couple of weeks, and I have made quite good headway in, I guess, both of them. I'd say more in one than the other, but the first project that I am going to share with you is the V-back tee. This is a design by Jamie Huffman, and it is a paid for pattern on, well, I purchased it off Ravelry. There's a couple walking along the street outside with their dog off the leash, and their dog just ran into the yard, did a bit of a loop, and ran back out again. I'm so distracted by it. I'm not, usually I'm facing in the opposite direction when I film, but the way that I'm facing now, I can see the street and just a different view. I'm finding it very distracting, so I apologize for that. The V-back tee. If you want to know more about the specifics of this project, I do share more of my information about it in the last episode in particular, but I won't repeat all of that again because I don't want to be too repetitive for those of you who are returning viewers. If you are new, I apologize, but I also encourage you to check out my previous video. The V-back tee is something that I am knitting for the Colours of Fall knit along, which is something that is run by the Yarniacs. And I also highly encourage you to check out that audio podcast. It is one of my all-time favorites, and the Colours of Fall knit along, which is based upon the Pantone fashion color trend forecast each year, is my favorite ever knit along to participate in. They call it a knit along, but they do allow other crafts to, like you can spin or weave or crochet as well. I don't know if anyone has ever really submitted anything that's not a fibre craft, but yes, anyway, that is that. And here is what I have been doing with the V-back tee. I have gotten to the point of this beautiful tee where I have finished the first section of short rows. So I just thought I would get you up close with how it is looking. So first section in the striping yarn there, transitioning into the second section with the pooling yarn, transitioning back into the striping yarn, and then back into the pooling yarn. So this is the front of the tee. So this section of the pooling yarn will be much wider. Well, yes, definitely much wider, because it is currently non-existent at the front. You can see that's the effect of the short rows there. So this is the back of the tee and the V-neck. Which of course can be worn at the front if that is the preference. While we are up close as well, I just thought I'd show you these cute markers that I'm using. So this little lotus progress keeper was attached to this lily pad on that little ring that you see there. So I'm using this as the marker that they denote for where you should be measuring, and this is my beginning of round marker. And this was one of the goodies that came in, I believe it was last year's Advent from 1121 Windmills. Love it. Love how this is working out. Well, I have finished the second set of short rows, so I am at the point where I can try this on, see if I want to add any additional length, and then it is up to knitting the hem. So we are getting there, almost there with the body, soon to be ready for the sleeves. And I have this time just attached an extra long cable. Okay, V-back. It is called the V-back tee. So let's put the V at the back. That's so much fun. Seems like it's fitting pretty well so far. Yeah, it's not bad. I do kind of feel like maybe next time I might try a smaller size or knitting it at a tighter gauge. It fits perfectly fine. It's actually a good amount of ease, but I kind of just wonder how it would go to be a little bit more form-fitting, but I am loving how these yarns have knit up and how they're playing together. Right, have a look at the back because I can't see it. How does that look to you guys? Hope it's good. And then, oh, well, first I should look at the length. I think it's actually pretty good. I might just do, yeah, maybe I will go straight into the ribbing. I'll have a think about that. All right, in the meantime, let's see it the other way. Where are these? I pulled too far. Knew that would happen. I knew I should have put a stopper. I knew I should have put a stopper at the end of this cable instead of having it loose, but I thought it was long enough. Bear with me while I rescue these stitches. Disaster averted. Try to make these both nice and long. All right. Ooh, that looks really interesting with the V at the front. Or, well, the V just looks quite interesting. That looks really cool. I'm sure I'll wear it both ways. I did want to mention, see these areas here where it is a lot whiter. So when I started this last color band, I started with a fresh ball of the Scrappie yarn because I didn't think I had enough of the first ball to do the whole band, and I didn't want to change balls partway through a band because I didn't want to have to try to, make sure I was getting the striping sequence in the same way. But it's quite different. So you can see in this section here, there aren't any really white stripes, and the darker stripes here aren't super dark, but then this here, whiter whites and darker darks. Interesting. So I just have to bear that in mind when I am working the sleeves. And yes, interestingly, or at least interesting to me, this band here was fully within the two short row sections. So the V portion only has that one band, at least in the way that I've distributed the colors using 5 colors. There's only the one section there of the pooling yarn. Gosh, it's so interesting. I love it. I only have this much left of the pool yarn, so I don't think I'm going to have enough. I'll be able to finish like this band and transition into the next, like into the striping yarn for the sleeves, but I don't know, I won't have enough of this to do another full band, but that's all right because I have plenty of the stripy yarn. So this is the original one that I was working with. This is the other color, and you can see that they are quite different, and I did check the ball bands on these and they are the same dye lot, so very interesting. Anyway, that's enough of an update. I don't know which way I like it better. V in the back or V in the front? I have just started binding off the hem and I wanted to show you what I'm doing with it. So I'm doing the classic grafted bind off, and in this first part here I've just done it as you normally would, and then I remembered that for a previous project where I had also done a half twisted rib like I've done here, I actually did the grafted bind off but keeping those knit stitches twisted. So if you can see these in this sort of like royal blue color, they're not twisted. And then over here, they are twisted. And I'm actually not sure which I prefer. I actually kind of think that the normal one looks neater, or I'm doing it neater. Like something about how these loops at the back kind of just like stick out. Like that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen with these ones here. So this one, I guess it's just, excuse the cable there, it's just rolling around to the back, but these ones, there's something, there's just, I mean, they are rolling as well, but it just, I don't know, because I feel like this here is gaping a lot more than it looks like. Then it feel. Oh, I guess these are gaping too. I don't know, you guys. Not sure what to do. I do think I'll probably just do the normal grafted bind off because it is less fiddly than doing the half twisted version. And I guess with like
the color changingness of this yarn. Like it's not really going to be as noticeable, and it's the hem, which I feel like, you know, people shouldn't really be looking at the hems. I mean, you know, I'm just trying to say, like, the neckline is a more visible place, maybe. But the hem, which should be pretty nice and loose anyway, I think it's not going to matter. Although, see, looking at it again, I don't know. We shall find out.
I hope that was enjoyable for you to see. I did end up going with the hem that twisted the knit stitches. So I have finished casting that off here. I haven't actually tried it on again since I've cast it off, but I don't really feel like I need to. But hopefully you can also really clearly see the color difference here between this yarn, this striping yarn here, and this striping yarn here. They are different balls, but they are supposed to be the same colorway and the same dye lot of Mode of Errors, not just socks, which is a discontinued yarn range. But that's where that is now, and I do absolutely love it. So my next step is to pick up the sleeves and start knitting on those. I only have this much yarn left of the pooling yarn, so I am not going to be able to match the sleeves to the body. So I'll definitely be able to finish this first bit of pooling at the top of the sleeves, transition into the striping, but I am not going to have enough to do another section like this on each of the sleeves. I haven't decided yet if I will, well, it depends how much I have left after that first color transition. I haven't quite decided how much of this I'm going to try to use, if any. I could just go from the original ball of the self-striping yarn that I used at the tops of the sleeves and then transition into the second self-striping ball, which is the lighter color one. Or I could put a little bit of this pooling yarn in between those two. So I'll see what I feel like when I do that. But I am very glad that I did use that second ball and discover that it is different for the body, because then I'm not in a situation where I possibly would have used, well, actually, that doesn't apply. I was going to say, if I hadn't discovered that, I might have ended up with having one sleeve in one yarn and one sleeve in the other yarn. But if I hadn't done that, I definitely would have used up all of the first ball of yarn when I finished the body. So that is the V-back tee. The second project that I want to share with you is, I forgot what it was for a second there. Oh, brain. Is the Optic Blanket, which is a free pattern by Pearl Soho. This one I am doing for the Garter or Grannie make along, which is one that I am hosting, and I'm very excited about that. It is running until the end of the year, so any project that incorporates garter stitch or granny stitch or both. I have only so far seen projects that use one, as in for people who are participating in this. And because both of my projects are blankets, I don't think I will have time to find a project that does incorporate both, but that would have been really fun to do. Anyway, the Optic Blanket. I have just been working on the second square for my Optic Blanket. Here we are. Hello. And I realized while I was doing it that this error, where is it? That mistake that I showed you last time, I don't actually need to rip out the whole center thing and re-knit it to fix it. I can actually just do some laddering along that line and fix it. So let's do that now.
I don't know how easily I'm going to be able to do this with the camera in this position, but let us see how we go. Alright, I need where is this? It's so hard to see what I'm doing with dark yarn. I think I've pulled out too many. Pulled out too many. Let's get some. Alright, so I've sort of just picked up those stitches any which way that I could. This phone's really in my way. The phone that I'm filming on, which does not make this easy to show you what I'm doing. Okay, but basically, alright. Okay, so this here, that's where I want to ladder. I wonder if I can keep that there. It shouldn't be too difficult really, because these are slip stitches, so there aren't actually as many stitches to ladder down as I need to. And that's it there. So I just want to, maybe if I use a crochet hook, I want to get that loop of yarn behind instead of in front. And now let's pick up that one, and hopefully if we just wrangle that through, that will do. And then this was a part of this one, so if I pull those through, that stitch together, no, that puts the white in front, that's not what I want. I don't know if I caught that on camera, but basically previously what I had done was I pulled both of these stitches through that one there, but now I think what I actually need to do is pull the black through both of them, and then I'm all set. And now I just need to figure out see, this stitch is correct. This stitch needs to have a decreasey thing happening to combine all of them. And what's going on here? Oh, yep. The one that's on the crochet hook. Let's just slip it onto a thing for now. Alright, let's get this on my lap and see if I can see better. Okay, so that's it. I'm back down to the 4 stitches that I wanted. There you go, fixed. I probably stuffed it up a little bit somewhere, but good enough.
I have just finished the first ball of the main color yarn for the Optic Blanket, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to see where I am at with it and share that with you. I have clipped some of the squares together just so that now that it's like a big long thing, it's like a little bit hard, well not hard, a little bit fiddly and annoying to manage, working around and around in a circle and having to pick up the whole thing all the time. So I just used a few stitch markers to clip the layers together, but now I will undo that so that we can see how big this is, and I will show you where we are, where I am, royal we. That's what we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares out of one main color ball of yarn, and this length here is what I have left over of that ball. And this is the amount that I have left over, just for comparison. That's the amount that I have left over of the contrast color, the first ball. So this is pretty much exactly where I hoped to be at the end of the first ball of contrast yarn. The blanket calls for making 42 squares. So with the amount of yarn that I have, I'll be able to make 45. It's a 6 by 7 squares configuration. If I really wanted to, I could make it like 5 by 9 to use up all of the yarn, but then I feel like that's just going to be an awkward size. So I'm probably just going to stick with the 7 by 6 configuration, 42 squares, and just not finish up all of the yarn that I have. The thing that I can't decide is whether I want to, after I've woven this end in, if I want to cut it off and actually use it up in this project. I'd rather not join yarn any more than I have to though. So I'm kind of thinking I'll just end up with a few of these lengths at the end of the project, which isn't ideal, but I'll find something to use it for. Yeah, that's kind of all that I had to share with you at this stage. Oh, I did want to take you in for some close-ups just to show you a little bit more of the details of this. Now is as good a time as any to get a bit up close and personal with this yarn with you guys. I just wanted to show you the difference, although I'm not really sure how visible it will actually be. But this is the yarn as it came to me from Pearl Soho. It is lovely and soft, very low twist, and I'm pretty sure it is just a single, yeah, that doesn't look like there are any plies coming untwisted there. So just a loosely spun single, and you can see here that there are lots of these bits sticking out. That's a more obvious one there that look a bit like wiry. So they're the bits of linen. Some of them feel quite rough, and when I come across any of those, I do pull them out, but as much as possible I am trying to keep them in there because, I mean, can't go wrong with linen. Well, I guess you can, but I mean, linen is such a lovely fiber, and it is one of the beautiful characteristics of this yarn. But the other thing that I wanted to show you was the difference between the yarn as it was given to me and then how it looks after my botched up dyeing that I did very, very poorly. I did accidentally felt it a little bit, but I feel like it's really hard to actually see the difference. They are both really, really soft. And
I mean, under this lens, they do look very much the same, but this one does the white one does feel a little bit softer than the black one. The black one feels a little bit denser, and even though neither of them have any elasticity to them, they're quite firm. The black one does just feel a little bit more solid. You can see the messy end there. And then also, again, thanks to my very unskilled dyeing, I do have some areas here where you can see that the dye didn't take as well. So there are some areas where it's a much lighter grey, and then areas where it is closer to black, which I don't mind. The overall effect of it, seen from a distance, is that it is a black and a white yarn that I am using in this. But there are some areas where you can see that it is a lighter shade when you look up close. I haven't gotten much further than what I last filmed. I have started the sixth square, and that's pretty much all that I have to say about that one. So the sixth square is using my second ball of the dark yarn, and this is what I have left of the first ball of the light colored yarn. So that should get me to the end of this particular square. But I am guessing, I am certain that there will not be enough of this to do another square. So as with this long end that I had left of the first dark ball, I will probably not use that yet, and see how I go as I approach the end of my yarn way down in the future. That is all that I had to share with you for my knitting handy dandy projects. I'm going to skip most of the other segments today. Just because clearly my brain is feeling quite foggy and I just want to chill out. But I have a couple of multi-crafty ones to share with you. I will get the spinning out of the way first because there isn't all that much to share there. I have started rolling up more folags. And I have done a bit more flicking. And I've actually sorted through the rest of that fleece and pulled out all of the locks. I won't get it out to show you because it's not really much to look at. It's just a bunch of locks. Last weekend I did a workshop at Little Woolly Makes. It was a Christmas in July themed workshop making mini fairy lights, which is a very adorable, really simple, fun pattern to do. And I really enjoyed
that class. It was a small class, and we were just told to bring our own crochet hooks, although she did have a bunch of other sizes there for us to use if we didn't like the results we were getting in the sizes that we brought. And she had a really nice big selection of yarns for us to choose from to crochet with. Going into that workshop, I had thought that I would come home and make a whole bunch more of these fairy lights using some solid colored crochet yarn that I have held together with a metallic gold thread. But I actually found it really fun to do it with the hand-dyed speckled variegated yarns that she had available to us in the workshop. So I actually think that I'm just going to keep going with those. Yeah, she very, very generously allowed us to take home a few balls of yarn from the table. These are the original adorable little fairy lights, that I crocheted during the workshop at Little Woolies. I think I want to turn these two, which are the only two I made out of the same yarn. I'd love to turn these into a pair of earrings, but the rest of them I will string up into some fairy lights. It was really, really fun to do and so addictive. So when I had some free time later that day, I made some more with some of the yarns that Julie so wonderfully let us take home after the class. And I bought a couple of, well, more than a couple. I bought a few Scrappie packs from her so that I can keep making more and make a big long garland to put on our tree eventually, because my partner said he would like to be able to string it around the whole tree like real fairy lights. I did also buy a couple of her Scrappie packs of fingering weight yarn, and I had thought that maybe I'll be able to use them in the next crochet project that I'm going to share with you. But they are, what are they? I think they might just be 10-gram minis or something like that, and I need 30 grams per color-ish. Anyway, since I have moved on to it, let's just get talking about the next project. I was so excited. I got so motivated after doing that workshop to keep doing crochet. So of course, that weekend when I finished the workshop, I made a bunch more of those mini fairy lights. And I haven't actually done any more since, because I feel like they're such a great little project to do, when you've got 10 minutes here and there waiting for something. But I just haven't been in those situations yet where, I just need to fill in like a little chunk of time. So I probably do need to just go ahead and give it some time. But the project that I have been most excited about lately, and I had been excited about starting it before doing that workshop, but after doing that workshop, I felt like I had really gotten bitten by the crochet bug, and I wanted to get stuck into what I will be working on for the Granny portion of my Garter or Granny make-along. And I've been wanting for a little while to make a big Granny hexagon blanket. Not a big blanket, but a blanket made out of big hexagons. And here is how that has gone so far.
I was so inspired by those little crochet fairy lights that I decided to make a start on my Granny square hexagon. Granny hexagon project that I'm doing for the Garter or Granny make-along, and this is what I have so far. So this is following the pattern for the springtime hexagon Well, it's just Springtime Hexagon on Ravelry, but this is as big as the pattern makes it, but it does say you can just keep repeating the last round. And I am pretty happy with how it is turning out. It is a bit like wavy. You can see that it's not really lying flat, and I was doing it on this 3.75mm crochet hook. The pattern is actually for like DK or Aran weight or something like that, and I'm doing it in fingering weight scraps, so I just sort of had to guess what size hook to use. But because it is a bit wavy like that, I think I'm going to go down to a 3.5mm hook instead, and I'm also going to work these corners just a little bit differently. It is a free pattern, so I can probably tell you without worrying that it's infringing on copyright or something, but there are 2 lots of 3 double crochet clusters in the corners, so I feel like maybe if I just do 2 lots of 2, then that will help with the waviness, but also make it so that it's less of a star shape and maybe more of like a proper hexagon. I've put together a bunch of minis that I have of fingering weight yarn. They are mostly upwards of 30 grams, but I don't have enough of those kind of leftovers to make a full blanket. So I think with this one here, let me start again. For all of those, for most of those, I just have like 1 yarn that makes up 30 grams worth, but this one is less. It's only like 17 grams that I had of this particular variegated colorway. But if I combine it with this, then I do actually get 30 grams. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to crochet this as big as I can with just 20 grams worth of this, and see how big that is, because if I get a big enough hexagon with 20 grams, then I can also use a bunch of the minis that I've gotten from Advents. So we shall see how we go. I have just finished the first hexagon, and I wanted to share it with you because it is a nice big size. So that is it there. It's bigger than my face. I'm super happy. I'm super happy with how this one is looking. So where this variegated yarn ends, which is 16 rounds, the way that I did it, that was 20 grams of yarn, and then the extra 3 rounds on top of that got me to 29 grams. I just figured when I got to the 20 gram point, why stop there? Let's just make it as big as we can with the yarns that I have. So I don't know, I have to knit a lot more socks so that I get a lot more leftovers in this quantity, because I won't be able to use my 20 gram minis that I get from Advents. What else did I want to say at this point? I really do like how it looks. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm doing this method that I heard about from Arna and Carlos, where when you're crocheting rounds like this, instead of always working in the same direction at every round, flip it and work in the opposite direction, and that way there isn't a so-called wrong side or right side to the pattern and to the piece that you make. And I mean, I'm not familiar enough with crochet, and definitely not with granny squares, to really know for sure, but I feel like doing that has made this just look extra sort of like rustic and cozy. I don't know, that's just my opinion. Yes, I also wanted to say, so with this first Hexie that I made, I didn't actually have 30 grams of the variegated yarn, so I've paired it with a darker blue that I sort of had just enough of. this is all that I have left of that particular yarn. So it was a really good one to match up with this variegated skein. And I hadn't intended to stripe it exactly in this way, like each color section is like they're full rounds, so in none of the rounds do I change color halfway through. That's what I'm trying to say. And I hadn't planned to do it that way. I just had all of these random little ball sizes, and I was planning on just changing the colors wherever I got to the end of a color. But it just so worked out that when I finished each color, I had barely any yarn left, and it just seemed like the perfect opportunity to actually just start fresh with a new round and make it look a little bit neater in that way. So this is one example here. The first transition actually from the variegated to the solid, I just did a magic knot, and don't know if you can really tell. I think it's there, so it's just ever so slightly going into that, like it just blends, the rounds just blend ever so slightly. Yeah, so there's a little bit, is that what it is? Yeah, there's a little bit of the variegated at the start of that solid round, and then when I transitioned from the solid to the variegated, that one I just had a tiny bit of the solid yarn left, so I think I didn't bother magic knotting with that one. I just sort of like wove that in as I worked the next round, and then when this variegated yarn ended, this was all that I had left. So again, I just thought that's a perfect opportunity to just jump straight into the solid color. Really happy with how that turns out. I followed, aside from starting with a magic ring with 6 single crochets, I followed the springtime hexagon pattern to round 6. And then as I kept going, as I got to each new round, I sort of just looked at it and sort of like made up or decided what combination of 2 double crochet clusters or 3 double crochet clusters I was going to do to sort of get it nice and flat. And I took a lot of notes as I went, and there was a lot of ripping out and redoing the round again to try to make sure I had that flatness. I didn't really like how messy that was, so I have actually done some math and worked out, because I think I did something strange where like somehow round 12 and round 15 or something like that had the same, like they were worked exactly the same, like the same number of clusters in the same order, so the stitch count was the same, and I didn't like that. It didn't make sense that they would be the same when the further round should have more stitches because it's bigger. So I went and did some math and some figuring out so that when I do the future hexagons, once I finish springtime hexagon pattern and start doing my own thing, it's always, each round is increasing by 1 or 2 stitches, like whatever made the most sense, and it never like somehow just drops down to a previous round's number of stitches, because that just doesn't make sense. I just realized I misspoke. 20 grams got me to 15 rounds, not 16 rounds, and then I ended on 18 rounds. So I'm really happy with that. I'm so excited about, and like right now I'm more excited about this than I am any of my knitting projects, but I really also do want to get my projects done for the Colours of Fall knit along. So I should get back to working those, but I kind of just like, I want to keep crocheting. So I don't know what I'm going to do today. It would be really fun to get one of these done up in like all one yarn and see how that looks. Oh, I just look at it. It's so much fun and it's so big. It's so big. Oh, I love it.
So as you will have seen, this is my first hexagon and it is nice and large. And then for my second hexagon, I actually did a bit of math and planning out every single round. And this is how it turned out. Really, really happy with that one. If I didn't mention it in what I filmed before, there were some rounds of this where I didn't flip every single round, because otherwise it would have turned out that there would have been one area of this that was all of these dark, that had all of this dark color in it, and the opposite area would have had a mix of these like light blues and burgundies. And I didn't really like that. So I did do a bit of not flipping. God, terrible with words today. Anyway, again, super happy with how that turned out. And I still have a fair bit of that yarn left. Not another 30 grams to be able to do another hexagon. But I do also think I wouldn't want, since I've used this yarn in this hexagon, I wouldn't want to do another hexagon with this yarn. And I think it will be good to have smaller amounts of scrap yarns, like 10 and 20 grams, that I can use for some other future Scrappie project. And then I decided to make a couple more tiny tweaks to the pattern that I had done for that. And this is the third and final hexagon that I have finished. It's the least exciting one, but I am really happy with how my recipe has turned out. This one also used 2 balls as this one did, but with this one they were the same. So these were leftovers that I had of a Regia Perfect yarn. So you can see I started off in the center with the yellow that they have in that yarn to mark where the sequencing starts. And then it was black, and it got me a little bit of this color, which was the main patterning color of the yarn. And then I went to the other ball that I had, and I started with the opposite way. I started with the color, which moved into the black, and then a little bit of that yellow. And I have a little bit of this yarn left, but it is all just the yellow, and it's a tiny amount. So that's all that I have left of it. It's actually like quite nice because it's like a variegated yellow. But this is what those socks should have looked like. I know that this is going to be out of focus because of the camera I'm using, but there you go. When I made those socks with that yarn, I didn't actually follow the formula that they give you for getting a pair of matching socks. I still made a pair of matching socks, but because my partner prefers short socks, I didn't do the full formula. And I kind of wish that I had, because now he wishes he had some longer socks. But I will just have to get some more of that yarn at some point in the future. And that's actually all that I wanted to share with you this time. I have no idea how long this is going to be, but obviously you will because you have been sitting there. I didn't go ahead and put together my little vlog bits. I didn't edit those together before I filmed this, so I have no idea filming this. I can't remember what I have shared and how long they all are. And I may try to plan that out, or not plan it out, but make better notes of, or actually make notes of what I film in future episodes so that I know what I have discussed and shared with you and I'm not repeating myself. I do want to end on a heart full of craft, as I always do. The first thing that comes to mind is how grateful I am that I did not get sick like my partner did. Knock on wood that what I have doesn't turn into that, but it feels very, very different. It feels like a cold, which is nothing. Cold still lets me sit and knit or crochet. I'm really excited about the crochet. So usually I try to find heart full of craft things that I haven't talked about before, but all the things that are coming to my mind at the moment are things that I have already mentioned in this video. I'm super grateful that I didn't get sick and that my partner is better. I'm really great. I don't know if this is a gratitude, but I'm so happy to be as excited I am about crocheting at the moment. I have crocheted things in the past, but I've never been this enthused about it. And I can't remember ever wanting to crochet more than I've been wanting to knit. So that's really fun, and thank you to Julie for that. And I have no idea what the weather is like in Bendigo, but it has been beautifully sunny, still freezing, or I don't know if I'm just freezing because I'm sick, but I think it is cold. So I'm grateful that it's a gorgeous weekend weather-wise for the Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show, even though I am not there. And yeah, I didn't plan out a heart full of craft to share with you, so I guess that is all that I have to share. I have been itching to cast on some more socks, partly because I have been feeling like making socks, partly because I want socks, and partly because I need more scraps so that I can make my crochet blanket that I'm really, really excited about. I'll leave it there. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I hope that you have enjoyed the weekend, whether or not you have gone to Bendigo or some other event in your area, or whatever you have done. I hope that you have had a good last couple of weeks since I saw you last, and I hope that you are all doing well and that you have found time for spending with your crafting, yourself and your loved ones. I will see you in hopefully another couple of weeks. Fare thee well.